Hello everyone, this is Fantasy-esque and welcome back to Season 2 of Royal Clan in ClanGen, the Warrior Cats clan generator game. When we left off in the previous episode, there were a ton of things to discuss for us because we had a new queen in the grotto, Queen Rainstar, who has turned things around back to the way they used to be under the reign of King Fernstar. You know, basically helping the cats in the forest maintain a life of peace and not one of sabotage like Queen Garlicstar was doing before her. So I personally am quite happy that Garlicstar's reign was quite short because I have experienced clans in wartime and it is not fun. It is not fun, guys. So I, for one, am glad that we are stretching this peace as long as possible. And Rainstar in particular, I think the other cats too, may be hoping that while she is the queen's right hand, that Garlic Glow is going to retire at some point and she's not going to be able to take the mantle of leader again. But that aside, guys, we are in the final turn of Leaffall. It is Moon 80. The clan, I think, as a whole, are feeling a lot better after, the huge changes of last time. They have had enough time, I think, to grieve. It is strange to think of it this way, but I feel like the entire length of Queen Garlicstar's reign was literally the grieving period, or the mourning period for the clan, and it's almost as though, along with the end of her reign, the clan's mourning has also ended. But let's go ahead and see what all the cats are doing, or what's been going on. So Leader's Den, we have all of our alliances that Queen Rainstar is maintaining. Let's check out the events. Icicle, Specs, Bruises have healed. Shining Stripe gazes up into Silver Pelts and finds that finally the grief has begun to lessen. His brother Bear Pelt gazes up into Silver Pelt and finds that finally the grief has begun to lessen. Inkfeather will always love King Fernstar, but has decided to move on. So that might open up a few more things between, I think, Inkfeather and Icicle Spec. Foxclaw wakes one day after moons of numbness and feels as though the world is less dull. Now, we know how close Foxclaw was to his father, so finally he's able to step out of that grief. Bearpelt and Shining Stripe were used to, having King Fernstar there all the time. Now, hopefully Shining Stripe, no longer being, grief-stricken, is going to maybe encourage him to spend more time getting to know Queen Rainstar, but we shall have to see what becomes of that. But all the cats are in really good mood, except for Garlic Glow, of course, who's still recovering from her birth. But everyone, they're in high spirits, which is nice to see. Let's go over to the Medicine Cat Den. Icicle, Specs, Bruises, yep, healed. And then Shining Stripe was given Juniper as treatment for grief-stricken. He healed from that. Bearpelt was given Juniper as treatment for grief-stricken. He recovered from that. Foxclaw was given Juniper as treatment for grief-stricken. He recovered from that. Garlic Glow was given Moss as treatment for recovering from birth. And Icicle Spec could not find any herbs this moon. So let's see how everyone's going for relationships. Scorch Moss wakes up to Foxclaw trying to steal a piece of her nest. Scorch Moss swears that Frostfade's fangs are longer than usual. Scorch Moss takes Flailstorm out to look at the stars, explaining the constellations to him. These two have not had any sort of change to their relationship at all, since Flailstorm broke up with Magpie, and even way before that. Even though there have been maybe a few instances of them interacting, but I wonder if this is going to have an impact on that, and whether or not they might be rekindling something between the two of them. Icicle Spec feels like his son Cinnamon Kit lied about something trivial. Icicle Spec turned to Freezefur in a time of need, only for Freezefur to abandon him. Flailstorm had a heated argument with Shining Stripe and said some very hurtful things. Flailstorm and Inkfeather try to say tongue twisters. Shining Stripe is impressed by Flailstorm helping others today. Even though they had a very heated argument, I feel like that just shows Shining Stripe has a very good heart. Shining Stripe compliments Freezefur on his bravery today. Flare Freckle goes for a nice long walk with Icicle Spec. Hold on a second, let's back up. I'm getting excited over the wrong couple. It's Flare Freckle and Ghostfeather, I'm pretty sure. and Icicle Speck and Inkfeather? Yeah. You know, I've also noticed I've been doing a thing where I mix up Inkfeather and Flare Freckle. I don't know why. There's some connection in my head to do with that. But yeah, I keep mixing them up. Flare Freckle heard a story about something kind Ghost Feather did. Okay, see, this is something we should be paying attention to. These two. And you know, guys, this is so strange, but also, even though it's pretty obvious, I don't really think about it. Flare Freckle was the last female the clan had, like within Royal Clan, that was able to make it to adulthood and like actually survive adulthood. Isn't that wild? Like every other female, and we very rarely have females, but every other female born into the clan has died very young. Or even if they've made it to adulthood, they've like died. So it's kind of wild. Okay, Bearpelt takes Inkfeather out to look at the stars, explaining the constellations to her, so it seems as though some cats other than just Icicle Speck are giving Inkfeather some attention. Foxclaw lets Bearpelt know that a clanmate was talking badly about him. Inkfeather pretends not to see Ghostfeather cough up a hairball. Inkfeather and her son Foxclaw work together to lead a scary bug out of the camp, and then Inkfeather decides to move on from Fernstar. So before this, she was spending time with Icicle Speck, then she's getting attention from Bearpelt, and I wonder if Inkfeather finally felt as though she should kind of allow herself, and maybe also seeing the, somewhat flourishing love lives of her sons. Maybe she felt as though she's done enough for her relationship with Fernstar. She should allow herself to move on and be happy with, other cats who are wanting to come into her life and treat her well. Quill Runner and Bearpelt bring each other prey. So this is uncle and nephew. Riverkit tells a clanmate that Quill Runner did a great job today. Frostfade explains what a joke means to Cinnamon Kit. Frostfade wants to explore two-leg place with Riverkit. Foxclaw thinks the clan's ancestors smile upon Bearpelt. Okay, we know they were having some issues, like Bearpelt lost a lot of feelings, I think. Foxclaw in the last episode. Maybe Foxclaw is trying to make up for that. Ghostfeather thinks that Inkfeather looks nice today. That's very nice of him to be complimenting his mother like that. And these two are the closest, I think, in the family. Freespur is motivated by Flare Freckle's big smile. Okay, I'm keeping an eye on you, Freespur. Garlic Glow dispels a bad rumor about Foxclaw. Cinnamon Kid says something vulnerable to his mother, Garlic Glow. Garlic Glow came back to camp sulking after failing to catch Icicle Speck's favorite prey for him, but he didn't seem to care. Nuzzling into Garlic Glow's neck, he was just happy Garlic Glow was back. It's nice to see that at least these two are still, very close to each other and maintaining their relationship. Icicle Speck, I feel like we know, has maybe questioned the way Garlic Glow would be as a leader, but despite his questioning, he's always kind of backed her up. But I think he's very happy to have his mate kind of away from all of that and, with him. Like, for her to maybe be giving more attention to their growing family. Queen Rainstar notices how closely Frostfade sticks to his beliefs. Queen Rainstar is having a wonderful time discussing recent clan news with Riverkit. Queen Rainstar and Shining Stripe had a fight over if they would take a new mate if one of them died or went missing. That's not what we want. We don't want a negative effect with these two. We need their relationship to improve. I think Queen Rainstar also realizes that her position in the clan is not stable. She needs to have a litter with Shining Stripe to solidify her position in the clan, because that was the whole reason she was brought into the clan, to be paired up with Shining Stripe. If she doesn't, the clan will find another female servant, and we have options, and elevate them to nobility, bring them in the grotto to fulfill that purpose. So, yeah, her position as queen, everything she has managed to attain, is only going to kind of work, or is only going to be able to stay with her if she is successful in having a litter with Shining Stripe. Cinnamon Kit hesitantly asks to exchange Fresh Kill with Frostfade. Frostfade agrees since Cinnamon Kit's is his favorite kind anyways. And River Kit values Scorch Moss's insights on life. So that is all we have for the events. Let's wrap up over here and move on to the cat list. Okay, let's continue with the cat list. So just a quick reminder on our loyalties over here. There is non-existent, guys. This still blows my mind. Even more so than I thought my mind could be blown when we used to do, when we used to get a reminder of loyalties for Garlic Glow. Because at least Garlic Glow had one. Anyways, I want to start off with our matchmaker Inkfeather, because Actually, before we go to Inkfeather, I don't think we need to jump to Inkfeather just yet, because we need to go through the relationships for the other cats. Yeah, because then it'll make more sense with some of the changes that I've noted down. So the first one is with Queen Rainstar. Oh, no, we don't need to go to the family tree because the family tree is non-existent yet. Okay, but she actually had a romance loss with Shining Stripe, which is totally not good, because we know what's at stake for her. If her and Shining Stripe break up, she will be kicked out of the grotto by the rest of the royals. Now, typically, when in a pairing, the romance between cats falls below 2 bars, I say that the cats are not impressed with the other cat as someone to have a little with, and they kind of aren't really seeing the qualities they want to start a family with. And it seems as though that's kind of what's happening with Rainstar. She's backing up a bit because she selected Shining Stripe as her mate, which obviously a lot of the clan members expected of her, but now maybe she's not seeing the kind of qualities that she wants in someone who's going to be a father to her kids. And it's kind of hard because she also realizes that should this relationship break, it's gonna wash away everything. The rain's gonna come and wash away everything that she's been working hard for. So, I mean, hey, she's doing this to herself, right? That was one thing I noticed. And I have to say that quite a few things that happened with relationships, just like last episode. Next thing is with Inkfeather, who actually has a new romance with Bear Pelt. Bear Pelt! My goodness. What's been going on here? So they were trying to say, wait, that was a while ago though. Did they have any interactions recently? They did. They did! Bear Pelt took Inkfeather out to look at the stars and explain the constellations to her. I feel like Bear Pelt is a very flirty cat. He seems to flirt with like everyone that he can get his paws on. As soon as he saw that Inkfeather had... Well, didn't he take her out stargazing before she moved on? I think it was before she moved on from Fernstar, but I think he noticed that she was giving more attention to Icicle Speck, and he figured that she must be receptive to the attentions of, some of the other cats, so he's trying his luck with her as well, and apparently made somewhat of an impression on Inkfeather. Not as much as Icicle Speck, but it still made an impression on her. The next one, I noticed things with was... Flarefreckle. Flarefreckle has a new romance with Icicle Speck. She has a new romance with Icicle Speck. Now, with these two, yeah, she had a nice long walk with him, and apparently that nice long walk resulted in Flarefreckle maybe playing around with Icicle Speck a little bit, and could be that he showed her a little bit of the leniency he usually shows to his mate when she's making trouble, and Flarefreckle, maybe he was just being friendly, but Flarefreckle now, she has some ideas in her mind when it comes to him. The next thing I noticed was with Bear Pelt. Bear Pelt has had a new romance with Inkfeather, as I'm sure we're not surprised to know. Where is she? Right over here. So I guess this time around, the interest was mutual for both of them, for both Bear Pelt and Inkfeather. I mean, she is, I'm not gonna lie, she's a very beautiful cat and very different in appearance to the others. So I can kind of see why, this black cat with these beautiful green eyes is quite striking to Bear Pelt, and he will shamelessly pursue her. That's exactly what he's doing. The next thing I noticed, there was a couple things I noticed here, was with Scorch Moss. Scorchmoss, guys, has had a romance gain for Flailstorm. So after all this time, I think Scorchmoss, maybe seeing all of the romance around her, felt as though it's like, a season of romance, and she decided to kind of work up her courage and I think take Flailstorm stargazing, and she spoke with him a lot, and I think having alone time with him for the first time in a long time rekindled a lot of her feelings. I mean, their feelings that never really died out, but I think it, woke them in her again and grew them some more. So yeah, Scorchmoss, she's feeling things towards Flailstorm. So there is that. And then I noticed, this surprised me a bit, she hates Frostfade. This is new. She hates Frostfade. And now she's got like two enemies, an Inkfeather and Frostfade. And I, for the life of me, cannot work out why she does not like Frostfade. I mean, she's oblivious, he's adventurous. I can't even call it necessarily a personality clash. So I'm not entirely sure what the case is. If I look at their history, Scorchmoss, this episode, swore that Frostfade's fangs are longer than usual, but she has not really had she has positive effects, but then she has really high negatives from time to time. Scorchmoss reevaluating how much he values Frostfade as a clanmate, and then Scorchmoss getting hit with waves of envy whenever Frostfade is laughing with friends. So I don't know, but I'm wondering if her feelings towards Frostfade is maybe similar to some of what she has for Inkfeather, where it stems from maybe a little bit of envy from how smoothly maybe things are going for them, how much support they have with their family members, how young and youthful they are and full of life. And I suppose a part of me does understand that, and why Scorchmoss must feel that way, because her mate, who she fell in love with and loved her, he died. I think she was paired up with Watergale, if I'm not mistaken. He died, and then all of her children died. She, in the clan, is actually now the only one who is completely alone. Even Flailstorm has a son that he's not too close to, but he still has a son in Freezefur. Whereas, if you think about it, Scorchmoss is the only cat in the entire clan who's not actually related to anyone or connected to anyone, because all her family members died out. So I feel like from time to time when she looks at the younger cats, especially when she sees them bonding with their own family members, I think she gets jealous of them and envious, and she begins to hate them for all the things that maybe she feels she should have had. So there was that. And then the next thing I noticed was with Flailstorm. Flailstorm, guys, did not have a romantic change with Scorchmoss, but he now hates Shining Stripe. So Flailstorm over here has become enemies with Shining Stripe as well. I don't know what it is with these old cats making enemies everywhere, but for Flailstorm and Shining Stripe, I figured maybe it's a personality clash between the two of them, because Flailstorm is childish, Shining Stripe is righteous. Maybe Flailstorm feels as though Shining Stripe takes himself too seriously and that he's a little bit stuck up. Especially because maybe Shining Stripe and who is it? The new Queen Rainstar, they're having some trouble or issues in their relationship right now, and Flailstorm doesn't see what the big deal is, because why Shining Stripe and the Queen even had a disagreement, because Flailstorm went through a similar thing where he was paired up with Magpie. He and Magpie never became friends, didn't really have feelings for each other, but they got the job done. They got the job done and they moved on. So I think Flailstorm, in his mind, it's you're just doing this for a litter. Why do you have to take each other's feelings so seriously? Why do you have to think about, oh, would you replace me if I die type thing, It just, to him, it's very, very stuck up. So I'm assuming that's why he maybe is kind of disliking Shining Stripe. It is purely a personality clash. So okay, those are all the things that I noticed in terms of relationships with the cats. Now we can go ahead, jump to Inkfeather, and see if she can try and repair something between Queen Rainstar and Shining Stripe. let's see. And the funny thing is, for Shining Stripe, from his, like, point of view, he didn't have any sort of romance lost. Like, his feelings didn't shift from that argument he had with Rainstar. It was Rainstar whose feelings changed. But let's see if Inkfeather can maybe smooth things over. Apparently not. So comfort and trust have increased, but jealousy has decreased. So I think Inkfeather tried to encourage some sort of conversation between the two of them, but, you know, they just had an argument. I think they're still feeling a little bit heated from it. Shining Stripe feels as though he didn't really do anything wrong, so he's not going to apologize to Rainstar. And Rainstar is used to people, I think she's used to other cats deferring to her and, you know, wanting to be in her atmosphere and in her, like, circle. So she definitely does not like Shining Stripe not giving in and being firm in his own opinion. So yeah, that unfortunately didn't result in anything that we would have liked, but she knows what's at stake. She knows what's at stake should this break. So I suppose whether or not this works depends on how desperate she is to keep her position and her status, you know, within the clan and the grotto. Okay, so that aside, let's go ahead and see what everyone's doing for the day. Queen Rainstar is finding Garlic Glow annoying. Yeah, I think it's coming out maybe how she truly feels about Garlic Glow. I feel like Rainstar is the type of cat who is used to things working out for her and not usually too grateful to other cats for favors they've done her, because maybe she feels as though like she's entitled to it. So because of, you know, how beautiful she is and how magnetic she is, I think she feels entitled to the care of other cats. So now that, you know, Garlic Glow is supposed to be her right hand, she's finding Garlic Glow a little bit annoying, apparently. And what is Garlic Glow doing? She would never wish to return to old kitty pet life. Yeah, she's still recovering from birth over here. Not really being a helpful right hand. But, you know, Rainstar, you shouldn't be too impatient with Garlic Glow. I mean, she is recovering from birth. Like, calm down, okay? Icicle Speck is missing Firepaw. Inkfeather wants to get to know Frostfeed better. Actually, I know why. Queen Rainstar is annoyed with Garlic Glow. It's because Garlic Glow and Icicle Speck have the best relationship, and things worked out so smoothly for Garlic Glow, but Rainstar's having so many problems with her relationship. So I think seeing Garlic Glow and Icicle Speck get along so well is making her irritated. And also, guys, I don't know if this is something, I don't think this is something that we've touched on before, but I kind of feel like since it's kind of rare to have two cats, like to have mates who have like a max romance relationship mutually with each other, I feel like when we have those kind of instances, they should be remembered as like soulmates. I feel like they should be soulmates. So Garlic Glow and Icicle Speck, because they mutually have 10 romance for each other, like a max romance, I think they should be known as soulmates. It just makes sense, right? That you're that connected to another cat. Inkfeather had a lot of love for Fernstar for a long time, but it wasn't max love, and it wasn't returned by Fernstar either, so they would not be soulmates. But because Garlic Glow and Icicle Speck, it's been mutual, and it's kind of stayed that way without any hits for a while, I feel like they should be known as soulmates. So that's kind of interesting. I mean, I could be misremembering, but I feel like this is the first pair of soulmates I've had across all the clans that I've played, which is kind of cool. Oh well, even if it hasn't been the case, I don't remember, like, nothing jumps to my mind. And you know what? We can start this whole soulmate phenomenon from here on. You know, from here on across all our clans. But I think that'll be pretty cool for them to be remembered as soulmates. Okay, well, I might even go ahead and make a note in, like, their personal things, just to remember that that was the case. But that would be nice, I think, because relationships can change in the future. But even if they ever, you know, break apart, fall apart, it's I think it's good for us to remember that. For Icicle Spike especially, you know, he might have had lots of romances with different cats, but no one was, to him, what Garlic Glow was. No one was as special as her. Okay, where was I up to? Let's see. We were up to Inkfeather, right. Wants to get to know Frostfade better. Shining Stripe wants to train. Flare Freckle had a nice chat with a kitty pet. Bear Pelt is sparring with some clanmates. Quill Runner is craving the taste of bird. Frostfade wants to critique his brother Quill Runner's fighting techniques. Foxclaw has more energy than he knows what to do with at the moment. Ghostfeather catches extra prey for Leaf Bear. Freezefur is crushing leaves under his paws, so he's actually helping out at the medicine cat den. Scorchmoss is wondering if kitty pet life is really so bad. Flailstorm saw a two-leg kid playing with a dog. Cinnamon Kit is trying to force his way into being allowed to guard camp. That's too cute. And River Kit is asking all the cats how kids are born. Okay, so that is all we have for these guys. Let's wrap up over here and move on to patrols. Okay, time for us to continue with our patrols. We currently have 53 prey and we need 38. So even though we don't have to worry just now, the food is slowly but surely dipping and dipping and dipping. And from the next episode, we're going to be moving on to Leaf Bear. So the clan might actually go through a bit of a rough period. We'll have to see. I mean, last Leaf Bear was great. We lucked out on a lot of food. It was actually, the cold season was actually very abundant for us, last time. But we'll see how this goes. For now, though, let's send out our Royal Physician, Icicle Spec, to see what he gets up to. Leafball holds the last chances to stock up on herbs that will die off in Leaf Bear, and Icicle Spec heads out to gather fresh marigold for the stores before the plants wither and die off. Proceed. The low-growing marigold creeps across the ground. Its strange leaves that imitate fern fronds are distinct, but hard to spot from a distance. What's visible even from across a meadow is the explosively sunset-colored flowers. Time to collect these while they're still here. Marigold was gathered, and then we're going to have a patrol of 6 and a patrol of 3. So let's have a look. Oh, hold on. I suppose the queen is going to decide patrols because her right hand is still recovering from birth. Okay, so we have Frostfade, Flare Freckle, Bear Pelt, Ghostfeather, Quill Runner, and Queen Rainstar, who are heading out, so let's see what they get up to. Queen Rainstar has a vision for a clever battle move, but she needs a couple cats to practice it with. Proceed. Flare Freckle isn't comfortable doing such intense fighting training, but also doesn't bring it up, instead going for the worst of both worlds, but she still does training and ruins it for the other cats, flinching back from being a good training partner. Oh, Flare Freckle. And then we have Freezefur, Foxclaw, and Shining Stripe. So look at that. The fact that Rainstar and Shining Stripe, they didn't really get along. Even their mediation or their matchmaking didn't really help things between them. And then Queen Rainstar decided she didn't want to go on a patrol with Shining Stripe. She sent him off separately, and she went separately. This is not looking good for them, guys. The patrol finds a nice spot to sun themselves. Proceed. The sunlight energizes the cats for a training session, and soon everyone puts that energy to good use. It's kind of funny how Queen Rainstar, I feel like, is a bit miserable, and her training session went miserably, and then Shining Stripe, from his end, the relationship wasn't affected. He is feeling pretty good, and his training session with a smaller group actually went quite decently. Very, very nice to see. But okay, that is all we managed to get done today, guys, but I think it was pretty good and pretty productive. You know what, though? Before I leave off, I actually want to go and do a really quick check on the admirers the different cats have, and maybe come back and give you guys a quick update, because I normally look at, when I'm looking at the records I have, I'm mainly looking at the feelings they have for other cats, but I don't track how many admirers they have. I kind of want to do that, and I was supposed to do it and mention it during the cat list, but I think I'll go check up on that, and then we can come back and take a quick look. Okay, guys, I took a look at our cats and all of the admirers they had, it's a bit of a, different perspective, because we kind of look at like the cats and who they like, but I think we rarely stop to maybe get a count on how many cats like them, because I feel like that's kind of what determines someone's popularity, right? How popular they are in the clan, or how invisible they are in the clan. I think this will be like an interesting thing for me to note. So I'm gonna jump to the cat list so that we can get like a reminder of all the names, and it'll be easier for you guys to kind of check and cross-reference as I go through this. But I'm just gonna go from like start to finish with the cats and what I noticed. So Rainstar only has one admirer in her mate Shining Stripe, of course, even if it's not going too well. Garlic Glow has 2 admirers in Icicle Speck and Flare Freckle. And then we have the most popular cat in the entire clan, Icicle Speck, who has 6 admirers, guys. This boy has 6 admirers. Garlic Glow, Ink Feather, Shining Stripe, Flare Freckle, Bear Pelt, and Quill Runner. They all have some inkling of feelings for Icicle Speck. Blows my mind. And we don't even have any other cats with like 5 or 4 admirers. The max is like, the average is like 1 to 3. And then Icicle Speck here is holding around 6. My goodness. Ink Feather has 3 admirers in Icicle Speck, Bear Pelt, and Quill Runner. Shining Stripe has 3 admirers in Queen Rainstar, Icicle Speck, and Ghost Feather. Flare Freckle has 2 admirers in Garlic Glow and Ghost Feather. Bear Pelt has 3 admirers in Icicle Speck, Ink Feather, and Foxclaw. Quill Runner only has 1 admirer in Icicle Speck. I felt bad for Frostfade over here because Frostfade has no admirers, guys. He's got no admirers. I'm pretty sure he likes someone. Is it Ghost Feather? I think he likes Ghost Feather. Yeah, he likes Ghost Feather, but he has no admirers. He's basically one of the invisible cats in the clan. I feel bad for him, but it makes a lot of sense. I kind of, even when I'm looking at, in my memory, I feel like Frostfade is definitely one of the like forgotten invisible cats of the clan. He's not really on the forefront of, everyone's minds. And then we have Foxclaw, who has 2 admirers in Shining Stripe and Bear Pelt. So basically his admirers are 2 brothers. Yeah, he's got 2 brothers kind of fighting for his attention. Ghost Feather has 3 admirers in Shining Stripe, Bear Pelt, and Frostfade. And then for Freeze Fur, guys, Freeze Fur is another one of our forgotten cats. He has no admirers. So he and Frostfade should honestly be buddies because they're the invisible cats of the clan. They're kind of forgotten by everyone else. They live in the shadows. Oh. Okay, and then let's see. Scorchmoss has 1 admirer in Flailstorm, even though that's like very, very old admiration and nothing much is happening with it. And Flailstorm has 1 admirer in Scorchmoss, which has kind of been rekindled recently. So that's kind of what we have for old cats, and like who's popular and who's not. Because I feel like when we go through relationships, that doesn't tell us like who's popular and who's basically forgotten, but this does. The admirers list does. So it's interesting for us to get validation, like numerical validation, that Icicle Speck is the most popular cat in the clan. And that poor Frostfade and Freezefur need more attention, guys. They need more attention. They're our forgotten cats. But okay, now that I've gone through all of that, with that said and done, I'm going to leave off. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you all enjoyed, and I will see you all next time. Bye-bye.